Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Woodworking Wisdom Workshops. My name's Craig.
And I'm Ben.
And you join us at a slightly later time today at 7 p.m. for the kicking off of our Black Friday week. Today is Machinery Day. We have, from now until 10 p.m., 15% off all Axminster craft, trade, and engineering machinery. So if you fancy treating yourself to one of those new machines that you've had your eye on for a while, now is the time. Once you get to our website, click through, treat yourself, get yourself to the checkout, enter code MACH15, MACH15, and then you get that massive 15% off. Remember, till 10 p.m. tonight. So we've got a machinery project planned for you today. So Ben, fill the guys in on what we got planned.
Okay, so we've got this bit of timber here, and it's nothing special. This is just a bit of soft pine. And we are going to use the three machines that we're featuring this evening to make a really nice little project. We've got a lovely little plane. There it is. That's what we're going to make today. But before I can get going, you can see I'm going to be on the scroll saw in a minute. But before I can get to that stage, that's a little bit big for me to go through the scroll saw. So I'm going to hand this back over to Craig, and he's going to work his magic, get this ready for me.
Should we swap?
Thank you.
Yeah, so as Ben quite rightly said, this is all a bit chunky for the scroll saw. Good as a scroll saw is, it's just a bit chunky for that. So I'm going to take it to the bandsaw first. And guys, just like in any other woodworking wisdom, pop your questions in the chat. We're happy to take your questions. I've got a tablet in front of me. Ben and I will ask your questions to each other as we go through. So don't forget, drop your questions in the chat. First job. Let's size this piece of material. Let's take it down to manageable chunks for young Ben to work his magic on the scroll saw. And for that, it's going to be my machine of choice, of course, is the Trade AT2552B bandsaw. You can see on screen there, don't forget 15% off up until 10 p.m. this evening. Now, for those of you that have watched the Woodworking Wisdom videos throughout this year, I thank you very much. Your viewing has been great. The interaction has been fantastic. And you would have seen me feature this machine a lot. You know, it's become a favorite of mine in my time at Axminster Tools. And one of the reasons, or there are many reasons I like it, easy to set up, simple to use, quiet, low vibration. And that's all due to the rigidity and quality of manufacture. Big, thick, solid steel spine, which holds everything on the machine. Nice, sizable cast iron table, cast iron trunnion underneath with support front and behind the blade. That really cuts down vibration. Cast iron fence, rigid fence, all important, particularly for what I'm going to do in a minute. Easy to access guides, and of course, ample power to slice through the deepest of material up to 200 millimeters in depth. So enough chat. Should we just get straight to it?
Let's do it.
Let's get cutting. Right. Safety specs on. Now, the first job I've got to do, I've got to set my fence. Now, I've got to take this piece of material down to 3 sizes for Ben. He wants some 8 millimeter wide stuff, some 12 millimeter wide stuff, and some chunkier 20 millimeter wide stuff, which will form the fuselage, the body of this this little toy airplane. He's quite fussy with his sizes, so I've got to be quite precise with this. Now, this is where this lovely rib fence comes in. Slides on over closer to the blade. I think I'm going to do the 8 mil first. I've got a lovely clear scale on the fence. 9, 8 mil locked in. There we go. That can ride then against a solid fence, down on that cast iron table. I can adjust these guides up and down to suit the thickness of material. And I'm going to drop them down about 3/4 of an inch, 20 millimeters above the workpiece. I'm kind of ready to go. I've got the blade set up perfectly. I know it's going to whistle through this material. I'm going to have some extraction on just to keep the area clean and kind of help with the cutting sometimes as well. If you draw that waste away. Have we got a question?
Great, we've got our first questions coming.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Keep these questions coming.
So Adrian would like to know, what would you recommend for the optimum choice of bandsaw blade for general wood turning usage?
Oh, Right, there's actually two. If you're just cutting a lot of deep, heavy bowl blanks, my all-time favorite is our back tooth blade. It's about 8 millimeters, 5/16 in width, 4 TPI, so fairly coarse, and glides round the deepest of bowl blanks with ease. It's got a little serration on the back of the blade to help that blade flow through those curvy cuts. So it's either that one or a quarter inch wide, 6 TPI. But really, if it's just bowl blanks and roughing those down, quick and easy, the back tooth blade. All right, you'll find those on our website. Are we good?
Stuff. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for the question. Great. Right. So I've set my fence and I am at 8 millimeters to start with. Flick some extraction on. Flick my bandsaw on. This thing isn't moving at all. The vibration is so low. I've got my push stick at the ready. I'm not going to use the push stick straight away. I'm not going to come in here. I'm going to use the push stick to push it against the fence. And then I'm just going to glide on through. And you see how straight this cuts? Gliding on through that cut. And then when I get up quite close to the blade with my hands, I flip the push stick round and sail on through the rest of the cut. Slowing down so I don't pop on through, and there we go. I'll reach around the back, and that's our very first piece cut. All right, that's the 8 millimeter piece, which is going to be for the tail, I think. Okay. Next piece I need to knock out is a 12 mil piece, and this will be for the wings. So we're going to lock that off, and it's exactly the same. Slide on through. It's a little bit wider. Maybe you can see that on the camera. Slow, steady feed through the cut. No need to rush. Give the blade time to do what it needs to do. Flip the push stick round. Slide on through. Slow down slightly as I came through. And there we go. Reach around the back. Piece number 2. All right, we can see 8 mil, 12 mil. Now I need to get the chunkier bit for Ben, which is the fuselage at 20. Lovely clear indications on the fence. There we go. You can see that slightly wider now. Slow and steady. The slow feed will give you a better finish. And I know we're going to sand this afterwards and there will be finishing to do. But if we can come off the saw at a near finished state, it just cuts down a lot of the effort in finishing. Because I'm not one for sanding, really. I don't know about you, Ben, but it's not my favorite pastime. All right, so that's the bit that we don't need. Let me pop that to one side. But we have there the 3 different thicknesses now. 8, 12, 20. So for the moment, my work here is done. It's over to you, sir.
Lovely.
All right, is that okay for you?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
He's quite fussy. So,
all right. So we've got this down to manageable sizes now. I can cut this quite easily on the scroll saw. Maximum depth of cut on this one is 50 mil. So that was just a little bit thick to begin with, but Craig's made this nice and manageable for us. We can cut this on our scroll saw. And today we're looking at the AC 405 SS. A great little scroll saw, this one. It's got all the bells and whistles you would expect from a saw of this this price. It's got the variable speed. We've got a tilting table on this one. The way that it clamps the blade is really nice. Compared to others, this is set to go with your pinless blades. No kind of modifications to make. So let's get to our project.
So we've got a very quick question before we get stuck in too much. There's a question bandsaw related. Got a gentleman that has one of the previous models for this, and the red line has worn off his lens here. So yeah, absolutely, we can supply that for you. Just get in touch with our customer services guys, and they will get you the right part to get that red line back on your fence to make things a bit clearer for you.
Good stuff. Thanks, Craig. So what we're going to do now is just to transfer our template So we've got a lovely little template here. This is on our Beat the Boredom. If you fancy to go at this, check out our Beat the Boredom section on the website, and there's a step-by-step on how to make this this plane. So I'm just lining up the edge of the project to the edge of my board here, and just want to feel that with my finger along that little line, and that's going to just save me a cut in a moment. I've got a bit of carbon paper in underneath. You can see that kind of black transfer paper, and I'm just going to use that. I'm going to take a sharp pencil or a ballpoint pen, and I'm just going to come around this shape. So bear with me just one moment. I'm going to draw this shape onto our piece of timber. We've got two parts on the tail here. Let me just double make sure we've got the right thickness of piece, because it has been known that I'd transfer on the wrong bit, but we're good. We're still on our 8mm, and I'm just quickly whizzing around this shape, and it doesn't have to be too accurate. Craig's going to show us something a bit later. If we go off track, he can put it right. So I just want to show you that one. That's our tail, and just transferred onto our piece of timber. We're going to cut that in just a moment. One more little component I want to put on here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the edge of the board as our reference to our tailpiece. So just rubbing that along there. And again, that's just going to save us a few seconds cutting. So my transfer paper's gone in underneath, and we're just coming around this shape. So there we go. That's our tail marked out now. And we're just going to come around. I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit, just rush that. Okay, so
while you're cutting, do you want me to mark the other bits out for you?
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
So take those. If you can give me the template and the carbon.
Template and the carbon.
I'll get marking out while Ben's doing the cutting for you.
Bit of time. Thanks, Craig. Good man.
No problem.
Okay, so like I say, you've got your controls on the front here. You've got your green for go, red for stop, and there's a variable speed on this one as well. I'm just going to bring the speed up a touch, and we're going to start to make our cuts. My hold down clamp is right down close to the project, and I'm just eyeing through the little window here. We're just going to push this along the cut, and I'm starting the kind of tricky end first, so I've got lots to hold on to when we come round to the other part. Quite confident with a machine like this. You know, I'm happy to bring my hands out a little bit closer than I would on any other saw. It's a really nice, user-friendly tool, this one. Quick change in direction, just coming around these shapes. And, you know, this is a fairly complex shape. Lots of other saws will struggle to make these turns. But this scroll saw, this is, you know, this is where they excel. Through these tight turns. And that really tiny blade that just allows us to kind of pivot. And come around our shape here. And just back down that long straight. Good. So there may be the odd bit where we've drifted off the line, but we've got another tool that's going to help us with that in just a moment. And then just looking at this this other part of the tail piece, we're coming up round that curve. And following that line. Oops, so again, I've drifted off just a touch, backtracking up the cut. And we can swing that through 90 degrees. And that gives us our other part of our tail. Okay. So just going to pop them to one side at the moment. How'd you get on with that bit then, Craig?
Yeah, we've marked those two out. We've actually got a couple of
Lovely.
questions.
Okay.
We've got a chap asking what's the maximum width on the thicknesser of the AC 250 planer thicknesser. Well, it is 250. You're absolutely right. What other questions have we got? What blade are you using there?
Oh, so this is my favorite blade. This is a modified geometry number 5. This has got a shaped tooth on it, so it's actually a ground tooth. Although they're very tiny, I'm not quite sure how they manage it, but they shape the tooth, and instead of having a curve on the teeth, so you have that kind of right-left tooth, the way the tooth is shaped allows us to spin and change direction quite quickly. It also has that big gap between the teeth, so it functions quite a lot like a skip tooth blade, allowing the kind of waste to build up between the teeth. If you're going on to those bigger projects, those, when we're coming up to our 50 mil, our kind of 3D cutting and that sort of stuff. So a modified geometry number 5, that is my go-to blade on pretty much all of these projects, to be honest.
So it's actually a similar blade, thinking about it, to what I've got on the bandsaw. It was 1/2 inch wide on the bandsaw with 6 TPI, a 6 skip. So it's a very similar kind of skip tooth. But this one's like the GT, the ground tooth one,
Sure,
making it kind of extra sharp.
Absolutely.
The teeth are milled out, then ground afterwards.
Oh, cool.
And I've got a question about the bandsaw, just on where the kind of teeth are running. I like the blade itself sat in the middle of the wheel, so you get the set and the teeth just overhanging that curve of the crown of the wheel. Won't flatten the set off one side of your bandsaw blade and won't damage the wheels. That's the kind of my preferred method. Kind of worked for me for quite a while.
Lovely.
All right, so we're on fuselage, I think, aren't we?
That's right. Yeah, the kind of main body of the plane here. And you'll hear those terms of skip tooth. That they're common terms. You'll see them a lot when we're describing blades. Okay, so I'm going to start on the nose here and just follow this shape around. So just bringing it up to the blade, form that little shoulder, and then we can start to feed this bigger piece of material around and follow this shape. Temptation is to push that in nice and quickly, but we've got a thicker piece of material here. So I'm just keeping my feed rate nice and slow. Give the blade time to cut. We don't want to force it through and be snapping blades as we go. And that kind of skip tooth as well is also very good for these kind of resinous materials like pine, where you can sometimes get a clogging through the resin and the ducts mixing together. And then of course we've got the heat through friction of the blade rubbing. All of those can kind of add up to a recipe of kind of clogging the blade a little. So nice and steady. Coming around this cut. There's our 90 degrees. And another one, and you can see how easy it is just to turn on that little pivot point, which is the blade.
Do you want to go to that one? I'll do that one.
There we go, not much to do now. Coming along this straight. Now, conversely, the scroll saw is fantastic for cutting curves and quick changes in direction. Not so great on your long straight cuts. That's really, the stomping ground of a bandsaw. So if we wanted to save time, I could probably bat this back over to Craig and he would whiz that straight off in seconds. So we got a little 90 there, and I'm just going to drop my guarding down. Let's turn the machine off. Let's drop that guarding down, because at the moment it's not really clearing the dust off that cluck line. Oops. And we still got plenty of room at the back of the machine. You could scale this project up. We've got that 405 mil from where it's cutting, the back of the blade, right down to the back of the throat of the machine there. So if you wanted to, like I say, we could almost go scale this up, twice the size again. Okay, so there's our fuselage, the kind of body of the plane, if you like. Next job, we want to mark up our tail. So, sharp pencil. Where have I put my pencil? Ah, lovely. Thank you, Craig.
Feel like your glamorous assistant.
Thank you. And we're just, for now, going to eyeball that one. We're going to use a nice sharp pencil to give us the marking. And, just mark that off. If you wanted to, you could draw a center line and get that bang on. For today, we're just going to eyeball that.
Got a couple questions.
Lovely.
Got a question. Does the bandsaw come on a set of wheels? I've got it on a set of wheels. It doesn't come as standard. Not everybody likes to wheel the machines around, but there are a good number of wheel kits available for this style of machine. And the back tooth blade, although it's kind of got little teeth on the back of the blade, they're not sharp teeth. They're not going to damage your guides in any way. It's almost like a very soft, blunt rasp almost, but they don't do any. Well, I certainly haven't with mine. I've been using it for years, so not a problem with your guides. And speed, Ben.
Speed
on this particular machine, we got a variable speed.
Yeah.
Slow it down, speed it up.
That's right.
Why? And
so again, it's for different materials, different kind of feed rates. Some people like to work really quickly, and they can have, they can crank the speed right up, and then you're going to get a faster feed rate. You can physically push the material through a bit quicker. But it does put a strain on the motor. So what I tend to do is work between 1/2 and 3/4, depending on the material I'm cutting. If it's very thin, I can bring that speed down, and you're going to prolong the life of the machine, and just take it, just take things a bit easier for it. And also quite like that kind of relaxed, and I do this for pleasure, so we can make these lovely things. If the machine's running at full whack, it kind of, it gets me, my heart racing and things like that. So I just bring the speed down and just enjoy it. Enjoy your time with the scroll saw.
Enjoy the project.
That's right. Yeah. So we got to cut this little kind of nook out the back of the for the tail to slot in. Okay. So we're going to go in like this. We're going to make a second cut here, and then we're going to join the two together. So goggles on. Machine goes back on. And I'm just going to follow that little line. I'm going to cut just on the inside of that line, because we followed the outside with the pencil. So up to our line, not past it. And I'm keeping that nice and stable on this flat. I'm just going to lift that guarding a little so I can swing the project in underneath. It's still doing its job. It's still where it should be. And just rotate the workpiece and I want to come onto that bottom line and then straight across. And you should see that little chip just pop out. I'm going to use the project to scoop it out the way of the blade and then come in from this direction, and we can just take that little corner section out. Good. We're going to do a little test fit. So that's going to go in there. And with a little wiggle, that's going to go. Okay. So you can see that's fitting in there. Nice friction fit for that one. And that's it for the body. We've just got the wings to go. So you can see our wing shape. Again, Craig's been very considerate of where he's placed this. We've got that nice flat along the back. Again, saving all that work of cutting our back line.
Yeah, the way I was thinking is similar to what you did earlier. Just use the good flat edge of the project as the flat edge.
Yeah.
Instead of you trying to cut that straight, it's there already for you.
Exactly. Yeah, it saves a bit of time. That's it.
So we've got a couple of questions.
Yeah,
before you get carried away.
Sorry.
Where's the extraction port located? Right there at the front of the machine. Does it get in the way?
It doesn't. It's there for a good reason. That's where the cut's happening. So the blade is positioned right above where we're extracting from. Any dust created through the cut is thrown straight down there and being pulled away by that extractor. You will get a little bit of dust as the blade comes back up. It's carrying that waste, and then as it travels back down, it's going to kind of deposit on top of the project. So that's where we're getting this little bit of dust on top. But all the kind of airborne dust, all the nasty stuff is just falling down through this little extraction port and being taken away straight away by that extractor.
It's a good location for it, right underneath where all the action happens.
Yeah.
It's the same on a bandsaw.
Absolutely.
You'll get the waste outlet right underneath where all that dust is. Yeah, we got another question, scroll saw related. It's about the trade scroll saws.
Yeah.
Cliff's asked the difference between the AT406 and the AT535. Is that just kind of size?
It will be. So that those yeah. So those numbers are describing, like we said, like this is the 405. The trade, the AT406 has that extra 1 millimeter. So we're spoiling you there. But actually, it's just it is really about the size from the back of the throat here to the back of the blade. But very similar machines, those. They're going to do a lot of the same jobs. And even this one, even our little craft, they're both going to get you to A to B. They're both going to do the same things. But there are little differences in where the extraction port is. Things like the way that we can change the blades. They will have an arm that lifts. All those little things. If you're doing this a lot, if you're going into production, you're making toys, or you're using these, spending a lot of time at them, quite often spending that little bit extra, or it's a big jump actually between the two machines. But that little bit extra, you can tell when you're using it. It's all the little nuances of the machine, and it will speed things up just by having those little features on the saw. This one is a great little machine, and it's going to do everything those bigger machines are going to do. But this one, the table tilts. On the trade ones, you get the arm tilt. So it's about comfort and how much you're going to use it, how much you're going to get out of the machine.
All right. Thank you very much.
All
yep,
right.
We're okay for the moment.
Yeah. A bit. So let's just cut these last shape out, these little wings. And I'm going to come right from this way. You can see the way I'm kind of presenting it to the blade.
I guess this is kind of why a nice big deep throat is important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got all that space. We've got extra at the back there if we need it. If we did want to scale this project up and make a big glider or something like that, you've got that extra bit of room to be able to do that. Let me just drop my guarding back down. And you may have to do this a few times during a project if you're working with different thicknesses of timber. But it's a quick and easy adjustment to make. And coming from that thicker timber on the body, the fuselage of the plane, this feels really nice. This is just cutting really easily, and you can see I can increase the feed rate. So we've got this little flat on the front here.
While you're on it,
Yeah.
the blades, are they special for this machine? Are they bog standard? Is there anything they...
No, so the blades, these are a universal blade as long as you've got that pinless machine. Okay, so the way the blade is held, the modified geometry one, as far as I know, you can't get it pinned. But these are a standard blade, a standard length, which is common across all scroll saws. And yeah, I would really recommend these modified geometry ones. I have a number 5 and a number 3, which I use for smaller things like puzzle pieces where you've got 2 pieces of timber that need to interlock. We don't want to create all that waste in the cut. So sometimes I'll drop down to a number 3, but really this number 5 is the one that I use all the time for pretty much everything apart from puzzles, where we do drop down a size or 2. Good. So
Well, that was quick.
not too bad. Yeah, we've got through that fairly quickly. That's our wing shape. I've gone off the line a little bit here and there, Craig. But while we're here, let's just show you this finish that we're picking up straight off of the scroll saw. There's hardly any fluffy fibers, no breakout on the bottom of the cut there. Really nice and clean.
So have we cut out all of our components already from that block?
We've cut all our components. So
Wow.
we've got, what have we got here? We've got our 2 tail pieces. We've got the body and the wings.
All right, so that was rather quick.
That wasn't too bad.
So we've got a little bit of finishing to do.
Yeah.
Although your cutting is excellent, the machine's done a good job.
That's right.
There's just a little bit of finishing, a little bit of finesse. And that's where I come in. Mr. Finesse, they call me. So, yeah, I think I could, hand sand it. No problem there. And I might do a little bit of hand sanding afterwards. But I want to show you another machine. I want to show you a belt and disc sander. So we'll go over to the bench. Come on over. We're going to look at this particular machine here. Now, this is the AC 150 BDS belt disc sander. 150 millimeter wide disc and 100 millimeter wide belt. So you've got a lot of options. A good solid table surface, a nice long wide platform to do your longer, wider sanding, and the table as well, like I said, that tilts. What is impressive about this little number is it's a cast iron base. Very quiet running, Velcro on the replacement discs as well, making it very simple. And in fact, the same disc style and size you'd have on a standard random orbital 150 mil sander. So if you've got one of those, which to be honest, a lot of people have, you can use the same discs. Now, the discs that I've got on this particular machine are, I've changed them for a slightly finer one. The machine comes with an 80 grit, which is very fast stock removal, does a cracking job if you want to reshape, but I want a little bit more finesse because Ben's just done such a good job on some of these cutouts. If I was to press too hard, there might be nothing left by the time. So I've changed it to a 180. Gives me a bit more control. I can really get the detail in. I've got it hooked up to an extractor just to clear the waste, and sanding dust is probably the worst dust to have lingering around the workshop. So I try and contain it as much as I can. And ordinarily, I would be wearing a dust mask as well. But because we got kind of microphones and stuff to speak to you lovely people, it doesn't work too well with the microphones, but I'm really happy that this little craft, which one is it? It's the AC50 extractor, which is great for a lot of kind of benchtop machines like this. It's going to do a really good job of keeping the stuff off my lungs. So let's get stuck in. Let's turn the extractor on. I'm going to put my eyes on. And there we go. So I'm just literally gonna gently shape, finish off those bits. You can see there's a little pencil mark there. It's good for doing flats. You've got a wide flat surface, can do that flat, can do that flat, and then blend in gently to these curves. And there we are. That's that piece. Super clean around that outside. Now it's not going to take a lot more work. Here we go. There's another one, a little flat, and then roll on round that flat, blending everything in. And then maybe come off the line slightly there. I think he just did it on purpose. There we are, blending that in, rolling on round. Remember, these are kids' toys, so we want all finished edges as smooth as they can be. That flat edge again, another flat edge. Just roll on round. Blending in those curves on the wings. And you really can give this a delicate touch. Although I did say that you can really remove some material quickly with one of these. You do have the finesse, if need be, with a lighter touch and a finer paper. There we go, there's the wings. And we'll go to the fuselage. And you've done a really good job of this as well, but I just want to do a little bit of blending. Those flat surfaces, flat there, roll on round, I guess what would be called the nose of the plane, I don't know. On the top, another flat there, okay. And actually, although this is square at the bottom, and that's the way our drawing was, you know, I fancy rolling that round. And you can see how quick I can change that shape with a bit more pressure, even on this fine sanding belt. Let's blend that bit in. How quick and easy was that? But I just want to do something else. I want to be able to sand some of these flat surfaces. I've got a few bandsaw marks there, not much, because you know that ground tooth blade that I had on my bandsaw was pretty good. That's where this top surface comes in. That's where the belt comes in. Because I can drop that on there and with light pressure, just sand over those flat surfaces. I've got a positive stop here. So that can come up there like that. And those are super smooth now. It's going to take very little finishing to get those where I want them to be. Do the wings. Other side. Flip it over. That's lovely and smooth. Okay. There's one other job for this sander. What I want to do, I just want to start rounding off some of these edges. They're really sharp corners. Now I could take a hand abrasive like this, but it's going to take a while. What we've got is a facility on this sander to tilt the table. I can tilt this table down to a 45-degree angle. Trouble is, it opens up a gap here, and we always want the table as close as we can get it to our sanding surface. That isn't a problem. We've thought about this on this machine. There's a little Allen key just under here. But drop the Allen key, of course. There we go, and that frees up the table. Now I can slide that in now, so it's really close to my sanding disc. Lock that back up. Now I have the ability, make sure we're locked, yep. I have the ability just to start blending some of those corners in. Putting on those bevels. Rolling rounds. Let's get the back of the wings done as well. Again, a light touch. And of course you can do this by hand, but I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of standing there sanding by hand. And we can do both sides. Make those wings a bit more aerodynamic, I guess. Let's start there. Blending on round. And the final bit of finishing, yeah, would be done with a hand sanding block just to blend. But I can do a lot of components like this. Just to give this a bit more of an attractive shape. And it's a bit more aerodynamic all round. Rounding over the nose, coming into the underbelly. This is me sounding like I know the components of an airplane now, but I don't. Okay. Well, that's starting to look all smooth all round. We'll get a little bit on the rudder. Lovely. And that one rolling around the other way. Very light touch. We've got a small lightweight component just to show that if you want to do delicate, you can do delicate. If you want to remove a lot of material, you can remove a lot of material. Do the same thing, other side. And you can get even finer belts than this 180. Roll them round. And we can see those components starting to look all a lot smoother around the edges. Because again, if it's a kid's toy, you don't want sharp edges, you don't want splinters. And that's not going to take too much work now with a hand sanding block just to finish and blend. Okay, so we've got our components. We've got the tail, rudder, fuselage, and a set of wings. I think we need to get over to the bench to do our final assembly. So Ben, can we get a bit of bench space?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's just clear this scroll saw along, give ourselves a bit of room there. And we've got a couple of questions just popped in, Craig.
Oh, yes, please.
If we've got time.
I'm going to move
here.
my table back into the square position.
Okay.
A little indicator that says 0, and that'll bring that back square. So, question, sir.
Well, first we've got a couple of comments saying that I didn't look happy when you started to blend things in. That's me. I got a bit of a grumpy resting face. That's all that is. Okay.
Was it because I was moaning about your cutting?
So we've got a question from Alan. Are all our badged machines made in China?
No. Taiwan, China. A lot of the Axminster kind of branded stuff is that manufactured there. And that's kind of just machinery. We do manufacture an awful lot here in Axminster. A huge amount of our wood turning stuff, huge amount of our UJK stuff, and we're doing all that we can to manufacture more in the UK. But for the moment, our machinery, yes, you're absolutely right.
Good stuff. I think that's it.
We're all right? Okay. Should we take this over to the bench? It's the moment of truth. I hope this goes together.
Yeah.
So, where are we? Where can I be seen, Colwyn? We've got Colwyn on camera, so I don't think we've spoken about Mr. Colwyn. Got Colwyn on cameras today. So let's see if the wings fit in the underside of the body first. Oh, just a little bit too tight. Now, that's not a bad thing, because I've got a fantastic sander over there, and I can just persuade that in there. You can see we're just a little bit too big to drop in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go over to the sander so quickly and just ease this little flat so that drops in there. So let's go back over to the sander, please, Colwyn. This is how quick and easy it can be. Just that flat there, a little tickle. One more little tickle. And yes, that was one of those moments you think, oh, it's too much, but no, it's not. Okay. So you can see that's dropped in there really nicely. Okay, and I was able just to dress this little flat here. So that's dropped in there really nicely. Now we'll see if we can get the tail in position. Do you want to do the tail? Or
No,
am I going to take it?
Craig. Yeah.
So these two components come together like so and snap into position like this. And that, hopefully...
It was a bit tight. I must
It's tight,
apologize.
isn't it? Right.
That's an interference fit.
That's what they call a tolerance fit, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. You can see where you've chamfered those edges on there, Craig. Looking
Yeah,
really
it just
good.
really started off the blending. It isn't a finished piece. We've still got a little bit of finishing work to do, but you can see from that block what we've created in that period of time with these 3 machines. So, look at your
Lovely.
handiwork. Right? You can take that home.
Thanks, Craig.
All right.
What a
So
lovely
what
little thing.
It is, isn't it? So, guys, hopefully you found that useful, enjoyable. You see some of the machines in action. Don't forget, until 10 p.m. this evening, you can save 15% on Axminster craft trade and engineering machinery. Once you get to the checkout, just pop in MACH15, MACH 15. That's your code to get your discount. Don't forget to join us tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. here in the Woodworking Wisdom Workshops for Axminster Tools for more demos and deals. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.